Welcome to the Ripple Effect blog radio show, where the goal is to cause a ripple effect on some level, at least, to inspire some thought. My name is Jeffery Martin. I'll be hosting tonight. Our guest tonight is Victor Sotomayor. He's a poet, a man of many talents, really, but mainly I've known him. I met him through poetry, and we're going to be talking about that tonight and his inspiration for doing the poetry that he does, and how it's inspired him and how he's inspired others. So. Victor, do we have you on the air yet? Oh, Victor's
Hello?
Here. Okay. Hey, I was introducing you and talking to the audience about what we're trying to do with this radio station. So good to have you, Victor Sotomayor. We're going to jump right into it. I was telling them a little bit about the audience, a little bit about you as far as your poetry and how you're inspiring other people. And I wanted you to talk about how it's inspired you, what led you to become the poet that you are, the man that you are, and actually the writer that you are, because you're more than a poet. But I think you wanted to start off with a poem before we got into the questions and answers. You wanted to start off with a poem, right? So you still want to do that?
I would love to start with a poem and dive into your question. And
okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank you because it's not many times that you get to be asked to be a guest in a blog talk radio or in a radio show or whatever nowadays. So it's really an honor, and you actually are one of my mentors or one of the people that I look up to. So for you to say that I inspire you, it's funny because you inspired me as well, and I think we inspired each other in this artistic community. That's our job, is to inspire each other.
Exactly.
So there it is.
All right. So give us the name of your poem and then go into it, and then we'll get to the questions. So I want to hear this poem. I don't know if I've heard it before. Is it something new you just came up with, or something that you've had for a while?
No, actually, I'll talk about No Se Habla Español.
Okay.
Which is the epiphany that I got about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, actually about a year ago, a little bit more.
Okay.
And I think you were the first one. Okay, if you remember back when we were at Corazón del Pueblo.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it was my first time going to Corazón del Pueblo. And I remember you and William Gonzalez, who's been on your show before,
right,
were there. And I had just written that. I had just written this that same day. So it has a very deeper meaning now. So here it goes. It's called No Se Habla Español.
Okay.
English spoken here. We don't need no wetbacks. No stinking Latinos. We don't need you. Go back to wherever it is you came from. Fucking wetbacks. Taking away our jobs? Go back and don't come back. Response. Regresaría si no fuera porque mataron a mi padre y a mi madre a machetazos. Regresaría si no hubiesen quemado mi aldea. Esos pinches narcos dejaron su huella de violencia y corrupción en mi comunidad campesina. Regresaría con mucho orgullo y dignidad. Extraño a mi tierra, a mi cultura, a mi raza, a los míos. Claro que regresaría. 1000 veces regresaría. Part 2. Do my children know more Spanish than I do? You know why I hired you, America? My job requires me to travel quite often, so I needed you to attend to my children while I was gone. Well, little did I know that you were teaching them Spanish and without my consent. How dare you? Now they're more likely to be the target of bullies. Thanks a lot. No español, America. Pick up your check on your way out the door. Your services are no longer required here. And here's a response. Si supiera usted cómo sufren Jason y Michael, mis dos ángeles divinos, cuando le ven partir a sus importantes viajes de negocios. Si supiera cómo le quieren aunque se lo digan en español, puesto que así yo les enseñé. Ay, sí, cómo no. Más importantes son su manicure, su pedicure que sus hijos. Más importante su Rolls Royce, sus joyas, su pinche dinero. Sorry, let me turn the page. Nada menos me merezco que una patada en el trasero. Ni a sus perros los trata así. Dios bendiga a mis babies, Miss Carter. Rogaré a la Virgen para que proteja a mis angelitos. Part 3. English in the classroom. I will not allow you to speak Spanish in my classroom. Sorry that you didn't understand the assignment that I gave you to do, or the subject that we're covering today, or the lyrics to the national anthem, or our American history and the U.S. presidents. Sorry that you cannot read nor write. That's not my problem. You're just one student, and you can expect the whole class to wait on you to catch up. You're just going to have to work harder than everyone else. Prove to your peers that you're perfectly capable. No Spanish in my classroom. Next time that I hear you speak Spanish, either in class or during recess, after the principal's office, you go, ¿comprende? And here's a response. Yes, Miss Carter, sorry. Perdone si no entendí la primera o la segunda o la tercera vez. No puedo escribir ni leer inglés, pero tampoco debo hablar español. Sé que usted no tiene tiempo para mí, yo lo sé. Algún día podré comunicarme en su idioma, Miss Sánchez. Algún día le contaré mi historia, como cuando crucé la frontera en el desierto durante una noche oscura sin luna, entre coyotes y serpientes, arañas y escorpiones, perros rabiosos y ratas de desagüe, entre la mierda y la sangre, nadando entre los cuerpos de aquellos que no llegaron a cruzar como yo. Someday, Miss Sánchez, one day I'll tell you my history. End of piece.
That's deep, man. That's really deep. Wow, that's got a lot of. I had questions written down, but hearing that again, it led to more questions. I have more questions. Okay, I'm gonna jump right in on that one. What inspired that piece? I know you said you were at Corazon del Pueblo. What inspired that, and what inspired the anthology? And let people know what the anthology is. They're listening to this and may not know what that's all about, what we're talking about when we talk about the anthology, which is beautiful. I feel honored just to be a part of it, but it's a beautiful book, some great poets in it. But what inspired that piece, and then get into what inspired you to do the whole anthology?
Right. Well, to answer your first question, the inspiration, it was actually just a prompt. I don't know if that ever comes to you when you have epiphanies or prompts you hear, and for some reason this one stuck out to me. And actually, I remember clearly that I wrote it down, but I couldn't. You know, like sometimes the inspiration doesn't come to you right there and then when you want it to. So the phrase, which means, No Se Habla Español means no Spanish allowed.
Right.
So that phrase stuck with me for a while. And Wednesday came, one Wednesday, and that was our work. And as it turns out, parts 1, 2, and 3 came together. Like, sometimes you get, I say gifts, I'm sure you know, that you get gifts, from somewhere.
Right.
And this came to me as a three-parter because it wasn't one conversation, it wasn't two, it was three different conversations, and it was 6 different people talking.
Wow.
Now, I think I wrote it under half an hour, I'll be honest. And
okay.
I haven't changed it much. And I haven't even translated it. And actually, I have a translation, but it's funny because many people don't ask me to translate it.
Right. And it loses something in the translation anyway, doesn't it? It doesn't have the power that it would have if you...
right.
Well, I've heard that. I'm not sure. I'm not fluent in Spanish, so... But it would seem like it would lose some of that power that maybe
would you like to hear
well.
Would you like to hear the Spanish responses? Because there's basically 3 different people talking, and so to the first one, for instance, the first part is and I picture this in my head in a rally, in a protest. You know how there's people talking down on immigrants,
right,
or illegals, quote unquote illegals,
Right.
And so that was the first one that came strong to me, where he says, English spoken here, we don't need no wetbacks. That came to me as not as a white man per se. He was actually Chicano.
Oh, okay. That was probably
a Chicano man was saying this.
Oh, okay.
So that's what's interesting is that people assume that I had a white person in mind, and I'm like, no.
Wow.
The irony is that this actually was spoken by a Chicano man who was born here, but neglects his roots, right?
Right.
And so he says at the end, go back and don't come back. Now, his response in Spanish, because let me see if I can find it, because I like to have people hear the translation, and it's important that they know it,
Right.
And I don't find it right now.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'll just make it short because it doesn't matter. He basically says, well, I would go back. Gladly I would go back because I miss my people, I miss my race, and I miss my raza, But I was forced to come here because my parents were killed by machete. And he's basically, in Mexico there's all this turmoil with narcs and drug lords, and there's death threats, and people are beheaded for so that's where he comes from. And he says, I would gladly go back.
Right.
I would very, very much gladly be elsewhere than here, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't have much option.
Right. I've actually talked to people when I was living in New York. I talked to quite a few people from other places that said circumstances brought them here. They would love, they love their countries. It's not like they didn't love their countries, but things were going on there that made it almost, they had to move somewhere, had to get out of that. So a lot of people don't talk about that. They just go from another angle. So yeah, that's a deep piece, really, really deep piece. And what inspired the whole anthology? And tell people about that who may not know. They'll know after this show, but what inspired the whole anthology? Because that was kind of your baby.
Well, okay. So the 3-piece, that I read it that night in Corazon. And I think the same night that I read it, it was something, it was really crazy because I said, I came up with 3 stories. I'm sure there are more stories out there. So these are not my stories. My story is way different. But anyhow, I don't want to get into that because it doesn't matter. But there are so many other stories, and actually I just said, I have a community of writers and friends and poets that I'm sure will come up with more stories than I can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put the word out. It's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And I don't know why I got into me, Jeffrey, because I never published anything in my life.
Mm.
And I did it. Like at 1 a.m, I think I put out the word out.
Mm.
The next morning I was like, what did I do? It's like, it's like one day you're drunk and then you're high and you're, they say don't make decisions when you're high or when you're so happy or when you're mad. Don't make decisions then, right?
Right.
That's what you always hear. Well, that was the next day. I was like, what did I just do?
Mm.
Why did I just do? That was a mistake.
Mm.
That's what I thought.
No turning back after you did that. Right.
That's what I thought. I'm like, what
yeah.
did I just do, and how am I going to do this?
Mm.
So that was the next day reaction to the idea. It was just an impulse, and I couldn't backtrack myself. I couldn't say, you know what, guys, never mind.
Right.
Dean Lopez, who has been in this project since day one, or day two, I should say. He's like, well, what's the worst that can happen? What's really the worst that can happen?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. It just wrapped around my head, and I'm like, wow, the worst thing that can happen? Really, what is the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
But I saw so many more good things that could happen,
Yeah.
So,
I'm so glad you took on that project because it's a powerful book. It's a powerful, for those that don't know, it's a powerful, and I guess you'll let us know how people can get hold of it, because it's a powerful piece of work. With all these different artists, different poets telling their stories. It's a beautiful piece. I think it's going to be around for a long time, and it's going to outlive all of us, and maybe inspire some people that we'll never meet, never know. So I'm so glad that you, Dean, and whoever else inspired you, kept you on track to do it, because it's a very powerful
well, Dean
book.
kept me on track, like, for the whole year. And actually a few more friends that, once I let the word out, and once I got Alejandro Molina involved, and Michael Ray de Los Angeles, and Jeffrey, you jumped on the chance, and you gave me your baby. You gave me what have we become?
Right.
And many other people, Pogo Saito gave me Hello Manzanar. Alejandro gave me Border Crossing. Jessica Wilson gave me Speech Therapy. It's like this. It's like I see it as they trusted me with their best, and Magdalena Murillo, she, up until this day, she's like, I have no idea that was going to be so powerful.
Right.
And I'm in awe, because I'm like, it is freaking powerful.
It is.
It's something to read the words and then something to speak them out loud. And we had a reading at Tia Chucha's, and we had a reading at Holy Grounds. And every time I read these pieces, they take shape and they take life that I did not imagine before,
Right.
So what was your other question? I forgot the other question you started with.
Well, you answered the two. One was what inspired that particular poem, and the other was what inspired you to do this anthology, which is really, really powerful. So, and you answered that one. I wanted to get into the what's your goal with the anthology? Did you have a particular goal, or you just, once the idea hit, you just wanted to do it? Was there a certain audience you were looking for? Were there certain people that you really thought needed to read this, or was it just an idea, and you just wanted to bring that idea forth?
It turns out that I had a certain demographic in mind, but it turns out it's actually a wider audience, much wider audience. That, for instance, I have people from India interested in reading the book. People from Berlin, Germany, interested in hearing and having taken actually the book back to Germany. I have people from the oddest places in the world. Like, you would never imagine there's discrimination elsewhere. But there is.
Right. Yeah, they can identify with it. Yeah.
And
definitely.
so they can identify with the discrimination theme, which is what drove this anthology together. It's about the children that are in cages.
Right.
It's about, people that can't speak in the classroom because they're not allowed to speak their language in the classroom. It's about so many different voices that will never be heard,
Right. But they're heard because
and you just
sort of
you came up with your own CD, and it talks about all the injustices and all the children that will never get to hear their voices. And the children are us. We are the children.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody has gone through discrimination, bullying, being told not to do this, not to do that. So I think it's universal. Like
it is.
The theme is more than just it's more than just immigrants.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're all immigrants here.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And the powerful thing about your book to me, and the whole premise behind it is anybody can identify with it. Anybody, like you said, discrimination is it's not discriminate. It goes across the board. So it's a powerful book. And the interesting thing is your idea a year ago that just started with you, started in your heart, has gotten to the place where it's going across the waters, and it's touching people that you would never know. But because of your words, the power of words, it goes beyond waters and beyond borders and all of that stuff. And so that's a powerful thing. This poetry thing is a serious endeavor. It really is. And
it's also a movement. It's not just a year ago. I mean, I kind of knew what community was a year ago.
Right.
I had a concept of it. But now, today, I realized I am part of the community of artists and poets and friends who are willing to continue doing, collaborating with me in other projects. And it's a blessing. It's like, wow, I would have never thought a year ago how this book would change my life.
Yeah, and other lives too that you don't know yet. I'm sure it's changed other lives.
I don't know yet. Right, you're right.
But you will. Yeah. That's the powerful thing. What? Because we all have our journeys. When did you realize that you were? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't want to say poet. Maybe you were a writer before you were a poet. I'm not sure. I'm going to just say poet because we're talking about poetry. When did you realize that you were a poet? Did you always consider yourself a poet, or was there one particular time you said, okay, now I really feel like I'm a poet? Was there any particular time that you can think of that you said, okay, yeah, I'm definitely a poet? When I introduce myself to people, I'm introducing myself as a poet. Or was it a writer, or how did that all start?
Let's see. I always consider myself a writer. I still have problems saying I'm a poet.
Oh, really? Okay.
And you may say, well, you're already writing poetry, so why are you saying? But I always have doubts. Because I've had doubts since I started writing when I was 12. If that was poetry.
Okay.
And then, we go through this roller coaster. We go through these ups and downs. Namely depression. I suffer from depression myself. And so there are times where I doubt myself. So there was a time that I was talking to a classmate. Interesting enough, she needed me, at that point. So she reached out to me, and don't worry about the time, Jeffrey. I have time, I know.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, you know what I'm saying. I have 10 more minutes.
Right, no, take your time.
But her name is Lourdes, by the way. Lourdes was going through a medical emergency, and she was asking for help. And she's in Peru, mind you. That's where I grew up. So she reached out to her classmates, and So, anyways, we pitched in, and she did fine. Her tumor was benign. Is that how you say benign?
Right.
So, anyways, everything turned out well. But and I was telling her, so I just discovered, I said, that I'm a poet. I always knew I was a writer, but can you believe that now I'm a poet? 42, and I'm barely finding out that I'm a poet.
Oh, okay.
And I will never forget what she says to me. And she's texting me on Facebook, And she says, Victor, I always knew you were a poet. And I was like, no, you didn't.
Wow.
And she's like, and I know she keeps everything, right? This is one of those people that keep stuff.
Right.
And she's like, hold on a second, Victor, hold on. And so I'm waiting. And then she comes out, she's like, here, I found a poem that you wrote to me when you were 12.
Wow.
And you know how there's, I think it's called acronyms? When you take a word, Lourdes, and you start with the letter L.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then the
acronym.
O, then the U.
Right.
What is that called?
Acronyms.
Acronyms, right?
Acronyms, yeah.
So she starts typing the acronym to me, and I was in tears before she even clicked send.
Wow.
Because I remembered.
I
remember that I wrote to her.
Oh, did you?
No.
Oh, okay. Wow.
No, but I remember writing when I was 12.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so what she was doing, it was a gift to me.
Oh.
It was a gift because she made me remember that I was a poet. Before I knew I was a poet, she already knew it.
Yeah.
She's like, you were writing, and then she sent it. And I couldn't describe it to you because it was my younger self.
Right.
But it was a wiser poet. And it was I don't even remember what I wrote, but
wow. For her to keep it all those years, that's amazing. So it must have
right?
struck a chord with her, yeah. It must have really.
It was like 12. What is it now? 30 years ago? 30 years later, or 32 years later? I was like, you keep this for this long.
Wow.
And there was a reason why you kept it. So it will remind me, in years to come,
right,
that I always had that passion, for words.
Right. For words, yeah. Wow, that's a powerful. I don't think too many people have that story. That's why it's so interesting to hear other people's stories, because I'm not sure too many people have that story where a friend keeps something that they wrote and gives it back to them 30 some odd years later. That's a very That's a powerful story. That's a poem. That's a poem. Really, that's a really powerful story. It really is.
But sometimes I cannot put this into words. Sometimes I can't find the words to that story. Like, it's just it has to be told.
Exactly.
It cannot be put down in words right now. Maybe it will be a poem later, but for now, it's just a story that I pass along. And every time that I tell the story, I get chills because it's amazing.
That's a good. Yeah,
how our own words can save us, or can heal ourselves.
They do. No doubt about it. I firmly believe it. I firmly believe they have a healing.
And then there's Jeffery Martin, who put me on the stage on his open mic here at the Achuchas, and I saw tears in your eyes. And I see people in the audience reacting to what I said when I didn't believe in my words. I didn't believe in my words for 30-something years or more.
Right.
I never believed in myself. And it's not until 2 years ago that I started writing for my own health, for my own, to save me from depression and to save me from killing myself, to save me from damnation,
Yeah, and then, the interesting thing is, and I'm sure people that are going to listen in on this, especially the writers, even if they don't write publicly, the writers, they will know that what you're saying is so true, because those words have a way of healing, and you start off healing yourself. The next thing you know, if you make it public, you start healing or helping people find their own healing through your words. And I always say that at open mics, that you just never know who it is that you're going to inspire with something that you say, because we all have stories, and just being human beings, speaking truth of whatever we've gone through, just that will connect you with other human beings. It's just the way it is, because we all go through things. And so when you get up there and speak on something, it touches people. It really does. But it's weird how, not weird, but it's strange how it starts as a self-healing. But next thing you know, you have people approaching you saying, man, what you said really, really got me to thinking. And so that's what your words are doing. So when you saw those tears in the eyes or somebody moved by what you said, that's what it is. It's, you're inviting them to see you heal, but at the same time, maybe they need to do some healing too, and it inspires that. So you got to keep on doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And, as I was telling you earlier, I feel like I'm always coming out of a tunnel, and I was just coming out of a tunnel this morning. Where, and you saw me yesterday.
Right.
I did not want to even meet you guys last night, and I was like, well, why am I going to be fake and show up and pretend that I'm doing well, and I'm not. But I took my car, and I'm like, what, I'm just gonna go, and I know you know me, and Jeffrey James doesn't know me that well, but and Mama Hayes, and I'm like, what, this is me. So take it or leave it. It's me.
Exactly.
I just I can't be on all the time. I can't be chatty Charlie all the freaking time.
Exactly.
It's
exactly. No, that wouldn't be.
Take my good side, take my bad side, and
exactly.
My bad side's not going to be as wise or talkative, but it's still me.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about true friendship. It knows all of that, and it's still there, and that's what friendship is all about. And you made me think about. I don't know how much time I have. We're just gonna talk until we.
We have 7 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. You saying that, and you arriving, and you I know that you do a lot of things, and you said sometimes you feel like you're walking through a tunnel. But I guess I've known you a couple of years now, and we've hung out quite a bit. But you've done so many things. It's hard to believe sometimes. Sometimes you say you're going through a tunnel, but you inspire so many people, and you're everywhere. As far as the poetry, everybody knows you now. I mean, the circles I run around in sometimes, everybody knows you, and nobody knows you going through those tunnels. There's always you're always the chipper guy. You're always inspiring others to do what they do or do more of what they do. So we need you out here doing it. And we're so glad that you poetry. I know I speak for myself, but I'm speaking for others too that know you. That I hope you just continue to do what you're doing, keep writing, and I know what I was going to ask you. As far as this healing thing, do you think that poetry or writing things down, do you think that it got you over some difficult times in your life? Do you think it eased some things? Did it help you get through some things?
Yeah, but not as I was writing it. It's not until I read what I wrote, let's say a month ago, or a year ago, or 30 years ago,
Right.
That's when you realize, you're like, wow, that was powerful. And I remember, when I'm writing something, I remember in what state I am, if I'm in a good state or if I'm in a bad state. It's weird now because I can analyze myself, but I wasn't very attuned, with myself until recently. But yeah, it helps. It heals, but it's not easy to heal.
Right.
It takes a lot of garbage to get to. There's something good at the end of the tunnel, and at the end of this 10-page, rant. Sometimes,
right,
never ending. There's something good there. Okay, at the end of the 10th page or 11th or 12th, there is something there. There's a poetry coming out. But it takes 12 pages to get to that 13th page that's like, there it is.
That's so deep. I love that. Because I keep a journal. I think you know this. I've told you. I keep a journal. I've been keeping a journal, I guess 30 years now. And I when you were talking about that, I said, exactly. Because I go back and I said, man, I don't know if I could go through what that Jeff was going through at that particular time. Like I said, like you said, it's a journey. But at the time when I was writing it, I didn't feel like I was healing at all, to be quite honest with you. But then I look back on it and I say, wow, where I was then and where I am now, I can see it. But if I hadn't written it down, I wouldn't. I mean, maybe I'd feel it, but I can see it because I've written it down. That's why I think it's so important to write. That's why I asked you, do you think that it got you through some tough times? Because I feel that. But, yeah, you're right. You do have to revisit it to see how you've grown. Sometimes we take it for granted that we've, we're just kind of barely getting through this thing, and we go back and revisit something and say, wow, I guess I have done a little growing. I'm not the same person.
Oh, yeah.
Or I'm a little better now. So
there's a lot of healing, and it doesn't take, it takes a long time. It's not 1 day, it's not 2 days, it's not,
Right.
It will take quite a few poems or quite a few journals to go through that. So
that's true. Very, very true.
And I hear something in the background. Hold on.
Okay.
What's that? I know who that is.
Yeah. We did that for you because you like that one. So, but man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. It really has. And I hope people listen in on this because I got a lot out of it. I really did. Thank you so much for coming on. Now tell people how they can get the book. because they need to do this. So I don't know if there's
you have to go to Blurb.
website or?
That's BLURB blurb.com and type in No Se Habla Español on search, and it's only $10.
Okay.
But this is also available on SoundCloud. So if you want to sample some of the poems, it's available on SoundCloud, so you can listen to, some of the pieces. Yeah. And also available on Facebook. You can like the page. There's many ways to get these poems, so it's not just one way. So. Good.
Yeah, because people, whoever is listening to this, please get this book. It's a very powerful, powerful book. You'll love it. Very well put together. It's not just glued together and thrown out there. It's very well put together. You'd know that. I mean, if you get the book and don't like the book, I'll buy it from you. That's how confident I am that you'll like the book and you'll like the way it's put together. So only $10. It's worth much more than that. Really appreciate you, Victor Sotomayor, coming on the show. You're making it strong, and you inspire me for the next one. So I don't know who I'm going to get after you. I had William first and you second. Boy, that's some strong shows. Bro.